Stay tuned and let's take a look at this Marvel Legends Khonshu Build-A-Figure Wave Disney Plus What If Howard the Duck. Pow and welcome back to the channel, Dan Who Reviews. As always, my name is Dan W. Make sure you are following me on Instagram at It's Dan Who, and remember now you can hit that join button and become a channel member as well. Either show some love or join the members club. Much appreciated. Today we continue looking at the Marvel Legends Khonshu Build-A-Figure Wave. As in front of me we have the Disney Plus What If Howard the Duck. We also get Scott Lang's head in a jar. So technically, if we break this down, this is two unique characters as they appear in the Disney Plus series. It's definitely not a two-pack, as obviously Scott Lang doesn't warrant a figure in itself. It is just a very nice accessory, which is how this other character appears in the show. But it is fun to get Howard the Duck in any form, as he's a character we haven't had since back in the day. He was an accessory to Silver Surfer. So we may be able to fudge this in to a 616 comic collection. We shall see how he stands up next to some other figures. But still, it's just a fun, stupid Howard the Duck action figure. Don't get too mad about it, people. We get the What If logo here. We get the Watcher watching up top. A picture of both Scott Lang and Howard the Duck in the series on the side. Some more digital renders on the back to show you that yes, they may be small characters, but he does come with the biggest Build-A-Figure piece for the Khonshu Build-A-Figure, which is sometimes a sacrifice you have to make in Marvel Legends. And let's be honest, that Build-A-Figure looks impressive. On the side, we get a list of all the other figures you need to build the Khonshu Build-A-Figure. Today, we are looking at Howard the Duck. So let's waste no more time and let's get him out. So here we have Howard out of the box with everything he comes packed with, and the way that this is packed made me laugh, as Khonshu, his body, he's actually in the main compartment of the box, and Howard and Scott's head are basically accessories to this massive Khonshu body. So for me, I have no problems with it. Sometimes in a wave you get a small character to compensate for the massive biggest Build-A-Figure piece. It's not something new, we've seen it before, and I have no problems with it. So especially when this guy looks so big, look at that. So he's going to be an impressive Build-A-Figure. You know what to do, stick around on the channel, subscribe, as I will be building him once we have all of the pieces. But let me move that to the side and let's concentrate on these two glorious little accessories, but I'm going to need to zoom in. So taking a closer look, let's first just measure these and see how tall they actually are. So you can see Howard is about 4.5 inches tall to the top of his hat, and then Scott Lang's head in a jar is under 2 inches tall. So they are both pretty small. And when I say they're a two-pack, I am only winding people up. They're clearly glorified accessories so they can pack in that massive Khonshu torso. But it's not something I'm complaining about, as both of these are unique characters for our What If sort of display. Howard was in multiple episodes, and Scott Lang's head was from that zombie episode, and we have got a couple of zombies now, so I'm curious to see how they look with the other figures. But first, let's actually find out how much articulation Howard has got, because there's more here than it first seems. It first seems it could be just statue. The legs are definitely a statue, as there is no bend in the knee, but there's articulation in the arm. So the shoulders will go all the way up to 90. There is a single joint in the elbow, and there's a swivel in the wrist. No hinge, but there is a swivel, and of course you can manipulate those shoulders, get them all the way up so you can get Howard the Duck waving. No problems there. And there's a swivel at the waist, very nicely done, and then there's a swivel for both of the feet, so his little duck toes have a swivel so you can help him balance and stand. Now the head is all one piece, so it's literally the head and the neck are attached down here at the waist. I could literally pop out the head there and you can see that's where it goes, and there is no sort of articulation at the head. It's all in the neck. There's a ball joint at the head, so if you plug the head back in, you get a little bit of forward on the ball joint, like a little bit. So a little bit forward and back, but that's about it. Of course, you've got the swivel there as well. So limited articulation, but he still looks pretty good. Can I zoom in any further? Yes, I can. So his hat is glued to his head, of course. Would have been good to be able to take that off. You've got a little bit of duck quiff underneath there. The eyes are nicely done. The beak is nicely done. Again, two separate pieces of plastic, so there's no sloppiness with the paint. It's just very clean and crisp. As I said, the neck is attached to the head. You can see there's no sort of seam there. The suit is a three-piece suit, very nicely done. Jacket, tie. Then you've got the jacket down here, just overlaying the waist a little bit, but that swivel is under there on the belt, as you can see, and then down to his little duck toes. And again, you can twist them, and these do help him balance, but there is no knee articulation, no articulation on the legs at all. That is probably the biggest gripe I have. If it had knee articulation, it would have been a little bit better, but other than that, it's a decent looking Howard the Duck. You can't say it's not. Moving on to the Scott Lang head in a jar accessory, which instantly gave me Futurama vibes, but it is accurate to the show. Now, the jar is a separate jar, as in like you can take the plastic sort of cover off it. So there you go, you get two pieces. But can you put other heads in the jar? No, you can't, as this head and neck are one piece. As you can see, there's no seam there. So it's not a head popping onto a neck piece. It is one solid piece. Look at that. It's one solid piece of plastic, and you can't even detach it. It's like properly glued in on this base. So yeah, if you had ideas of popping different heads in this jar, you're not going to be able to do that, which is unfortunate. But the head sculpt is pretty good. I am disappointed it's not a separate head, as if it was a separate head, I think I would have been able to pop this off and put it on an Ant-Man body just to sort of create options for a display. But nope, the head and neck are one solid piece, and you are not removing it from that base, which is a shame. But I have an idea. So here we have the Zombie Hunter Spider-Man from the first wave of Disney Plus figures. And as you can see, he comes with Doctor Strange's cape. And in that episode, Doctor Strange's cape actually carries round Scott Lang's head. So I want to take this off, Peter, and see if I could like just sort of plug it in here. So that's going to need a little bit of force to get the collar sort of wrapped all the way round. As you can see, it's sort of stretching the plastic. But we might be able to manipulate this and make this work. So let me take this off. Okay, so that's massively cheating. I've took off the sort of plastic dome as it was stretching out the cape. But you can put the cape around the neck and sort of just attach it. I have put a little bit of glue tack there behind it to sort of cheat. And obviously it's on a flight stand as well. But for a display piece, standing next to Peter, it does look more interesting than just a head on the jar. So yeah, you could sort of get that to work. Let me show you. There's a full length shot. Again, it doesn't technically work, and to be accurate to the show, you will have to sort of wrap the cape around this dome. So maybe you could mod it out there, and I'm sure people will give it a go. But I definitely think the cape attached to that sort of head accessory makes it a little bit more interesting and makes it more of a character on the display. Back to Howard the Duck to see how he compares to some what-if figures. So here we have both Nebula and T'Challa Star-Lord, who came in the Watcher Build-A-Figure wave last year. All three of these appeared in the same episode. T'Challa Star-Lord broke out Howard the Duck to give him a tour of the Collector's Vault, but he ended up drinking at the bar anyway. I think he also appeared in the Party Thor episode, but I really didn't like that version of Thor. I'm sure it's inevitable that we get him in figure form to complete the Guardians of the Multiverse, but I'm not a fan. I think Howard ended up going out with Darcy in that episode. She's a character we need in live action form for our MCU collection. Here we have Howard compared to a couple of other Disney Plus figures, as we have Captain Carter and Doctor Strange. I mentioned earlier the last time we got Howard the Duck in the 6-inch era was during the Toy Biz days. He came as a packed-in accessory with Silver Surfer. So here we have them reunited, as I've got the Galactus Silver Surfer next to this What If Howard the Duck. Can he work in a comic display? I think that is a question everyone will have to answer themselves. It is down to personal preference. There's no right or wrong answer. At the end of the day, it's your collection, it's your display. Do you want him in a 616 comic display? Then put him in there. Here he is with Reed Richards and a scroll. And as you can see, the colour palettes sort of match. And it's a duck in a suit, for God's sake. Don't take it too serious. I think he can work. But can he work in an MCU display? Now that is a question you have to decide, as this isn't a live action version of Howard the Duck, it is an animated version. But technically, Howard the Duck is a CGI animated version in live action anyway. So could it work? Again, it's confusing, my head hurts. It is up to you, but here he is compared to the Collector and Peter Quill. Here we have Howard compared to Frogman, Tigra and White Rabbit. And last but never least, here we have Howard the Duck and Scott Lang's head in a jar compared to Captain Britain and Bombastic Hank. So, final thoughts on this Marvel Legends Khonshu Build-A-Figure Wave Disney Plus What If Howard the Duck and Scott Lang's head in a jar. Now, these two are glorified accessories that should have really been accessories with other figures. Instead, we get them together, packed in as an accessory to the Khonshu Build-A-Figure piece. So it is a little bit frustrating, especially if you're someone collecting and not interested in the Khonshu Build-A-Figure. Is it really fair paying that same price? Again, that's a debate for another day, for another channel. Let's just focus on the figure. And it is a version of how the Duck you can put in many places in a collection, whether it's a What If animated shelf, a 616 comic shelf, or even a live action shelf. I don't think it matters too much. It is personal preference. It's Howard the Bloody Duck, for God's sake. It's just a fun action figure that has a little bit more articulation than we first thought, but otherwise he is just meant to just stand there in a display. Should have really gave him a cocktail interchangeable holding hand. That would have been really good and made him a little bit more interesting for the shelf. And in regards to Scott Lang's head in the jar, again, that's just a fun little pack in. It is a unique character from that zombie episode. I wish it would have attached onto that Doctor Strange cape a little bit better rather than the fudging way I did it. Would have made it more fun to pose up and be a little bit more dynamic on a shelf, but still, it's just a pack in. It is what it is. I would have preferred the head to come off though. It would have been nice to put other heads in that jar too, Futurama style. Would you want to be a head that lives forever in a jar? Did they ever explain that technology in the What If show or even Futurama at that point? I don't think they did. Very confusing. How does it work? Anyway, let me know. Would you want to live forever as a head in a jar? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like Marvel Legends, then I think you're in the right place. Check out the videos tab, find the playlist, but most importantly, please, 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 hit that subscribe button, hit all on the notification bell, don't miss out on a video, and please hit that join button, become a channel member, either show some love or join the members club. Much appreciated. You can follow me on Instagram at It's Dan Who. And I'm on Twitter as well. Tweet me, don't be shy, at Dan Who Reviews. And until then, people, my name is Dan W. Contemplating, do I want to live alive as a head in a jar? And I'll see you on the next one.